Your data being tracked? Well, I want story time, guys. When I was younger, I wanted to know what kind of tracking happens. And just recently, I figured out that the police track geolocation, but through your cell phone. But that geolocation is default on every phone. And when I was younger, we had pictures, right? And Facebook and these platforms didn't take off the data tracking on pictures, so you could actually geolocate where someone was at based off a picture and the data location on your phone. And when I was a programmer, for a long time, I had my own business as a programmer, and I had fun projects. Obviously, when you're a programmer, you want to do fun things too to pass the time. And I decided to download this open source software called XF. And XF is a tool where you can strip all the data, the metadata from pictures and stuff. So it lets you basically see the exact GPS coordinates of specific tracking of when you take a picture. So I did this with a picture of mine. I went to a different area and I took a picture, and then I uploaded that picture, stripped it all down with EXIF, gave me the geolocation of exactly where I was at. Now, a lot of places now take that data off, especially on platforms because of data privacy. But isn't that just crazy how one picture can have your exact GPS location? And this is like when Google Earth was a big thing. So you could like Google Earth your coordinates and stuff. And I could see like exactly where I was. It was amazing. But now like your geolocation on every cell phone for like police to be able to respond faster and do all these things, they can when you call them, they get your geolocation of those coordinates and they come straight to where you are, which is really nice and handy, but also scary at the same point of like being tracked, right? We're constantly being tracked in this world through all these platforms and programs and apps that we have. They're using our geolocation and our data to track exactly where we are, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing for security awareness to know that that is being done. And that's being done a lot of times on these platforms to protect you, like on Facebook, Instagram, all these things. They give you your geolocation of where you last logged in and stuff, and that's really helpful. Be like, hey, I didn't go to that place, or hey, that wasn't me in that location. Hey, I'm going to delete this device out of my activity log, right? For these platforms, through Google, through Facebook, through Instagram, through all these different things, they have this logging activity of hey, was this you? And not, we saw some unusual activity. So that's really good. But on the flip side of that, that can be really scary too, that they're tracking every single second of where you are when that location data is at. So if I want to go somewhere, the investigators can pull up my records and know exactly where I'm at. The government knows exactly where I'm at 24/7 a day. And that's a little scary, like kind of stalkerish. The government watching me? Oh, oh no. Why? It's kind of like the Big Brother thing, like security cameras and like how the CCTV feeds, and they're doing the face stuff right now, and they're scanning your face and your body and all this stuff, right? All the tracking is just getting a little crazy out there, I feel like. And so that's the topic of today, just the craziness of the tracking, some good stuff, some bad stuff, kind of in the middle on some stuff. It's up to interpretation and other people's opinions. But at the end of the day, it's really interesting of how far it's come. And now they're even going to be doing more stuff with biometrics and with, more of this face ID. And I just kind of worried about like your data privacy though on these things. Like if they're tracking and logging all this data, like what companies have this data, are they selling off this data to brokers like on Facebook accounts? Like for the data tracking side of it, like is your fingerprint going to be everywhere? I mean, usually it just was on police records if you went to police, but now apps are requiring biometrics. They're talking about chips they're going to be putting in you and to pay for things and all this crazy stuff, and also like you having specific things embedded in your brain for medical reasons. But what if in the future, those medical reasons aren't medical reasons and they can just do stuff to you like remotely, kind of like they turn off a car or something. Like, I don't know. It's a crazy world out there, but you just got to be conscious of, the security concerns. Like, is this something that could impact my life? Is this the thing I should do or shouldn't do based off, these scenarios? Is this, a good thing? Is this a bad thing? How is this, the intent of this being used? All these things kind of come in my mind when I think about, data tracking, data security, um, data usage of just our information, right? Our information is just so much more out there. Our health information, our data information, our maybe our social media platforms, whatever that data set is, all our information is spread everywhere. And if they're selling that information, knowing where your information is going to become so important, because if it's all over these different platforms and now you have all these platforms talking to each other and sharing this data when you didn't agree to it because you accepted the terms and agreements to whatever platform there is, it's a scary world out there. You got to really think about, where's my data going? That's why I actually don't do anything with biometrics, because I'm so worried if someone has my fingerprint, right? Just think in the future, if I ever use my fingerprint for everything, now that data could be out there. My fingerprint could be out there. That's why I've never signed up for data metrics or face scanning or any of these things, because I don't want whatever platform to have a data breach or that to be exposed, or maybe for that data to be sold. I don't want any of those scenarios to happen. So that's why I'm so security conscious of where is this data going, right? What data am I releasing and where is this data actually going? Because it's so prevalent to our life and it's so prevalent to future things. Maybe bank accounts will require your fingerprint. Maybe, scanning into a job will require your fingerprint. But if your data is out there and other people have your fingerprint, that's a scary world. Like, they could copy stuff. Like, these kinds of security concerns are out there. So thank you for joining our session today. Doesn't look like anyone's on our live today. So we're not going to have a Q&A session. But once we get a lot of people joining the lives, we're going to start doing that Q&A session. All right. Well, you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.